All right, joining us now live from Washington, D.C. is Renee Shah. She's a political strategist and a former senior congressional advisor to the Republican Party. Renee, thanks so much for joining us here on Al Jazeera. So there's this partial shutdown of the U.S. government. Many expect that it's going to be brief. But do you believe that this will actually be resolved once the House of Representatives meets again on Monday? Or does this all run the risk of dragging on again?
Look, this partial shutdown that kicked off at midnight is not the chaos of last fall's 43-day mess. We should make that very clear. It's more like a weekend hiccup, and that's thanks to the Senate's late-night deal yesterday. But here is a twist that no one's really highlighting. It's exposing how Trump's aggressive immigration playbook is fracturing his own party. Republicans are quietly fuming because this quick fix relies on Democratic votes in the House come Monday, and that is showing Trump's maximum pressure tactic is backfiring, turning what should be a Republican win into a bipartisan bailout. It's savvy politics from Democrats using the shutdown clock to force real talks on oversight, and that's proving that in D.C., timing is not everything. Leverage is.
So, Renee, over the course of the next 2 weeks, there's going to be this debate over immigration enforcement and the Democrats are hoping that that can lead to some kind of bipartisan agreement when it comes to reforms towards ICE and all the tactics that they employ. Where do you see all this going?
Well, look, this isn't about funding lapsing for agencies like Defense and Treasury. It's a symptom of deeper dysfunction. I mean, I say think about it like this. Trump's team has rushed in with poorly vetted ICE agents, leading to tragedies that stalled the whole process. But the unique angle here is that this shutdown is quietly eroding public trust in federal operations. That makes everyday Americans question if law and order is code for unchecked power. I mean, we need reforms that prioritize precision over posturing, because right now it's all ego, no strategy. But to answer your question, I would explain it like this. The Department of Homeland Security is not really being defunded, it's being debugged. The killings of Minnesotans Renee Good and Alex Pretti, who complied and still got shot to death, they highlight a system that rewards aggression over de-escalation. And I say that this cut is a wake-up call for sophisticated oversight, body cameras, better vetting, real training, because without those things, we're funding mistakes, not missions. Trump's quote-unquote surge is surging costs to taxpayers in lawsuits and lost trust. It's time to pivot to precision enforcement that unites, not divides.
Renee, the fact that Trump has essentially made this deal with Democrats to carve out the funding that was supposed to be allotted to Homeland Security so that a debate can now happen over the next 2 weeks, how significant is that? Is that simply because the Trump administration is under so much pressure due to all that has transpired in Minneapolis?
Well, let me say this also. It's very clear that cutting Department of Homeland Security funding is not a radical Democrat move. It's a calculated pause to demand accountability after, again, these 2 U.S. citizens, Minnesotans, were killed by federal agents in their hometown. So Senate Democrats stripped it out, opting for a 2-week extension while also negotiating reforms, which was smart because it buys time without grinding everything to a halt. But here's what I would say that not many people in Washington are willing to say out loud. It's that this is Trump's own trap. By flooding Minnesota with some 3,000 agents under Operation Metro Surge, he's amplified fragile egos in the field. And again, I could not overemphasize the fact that there's been rushed training here, excessive force. That's not security. That's a recipe for backlash. It's like handing your opponents the ammunition. And now even some Republican hardliners are wary, fearing that this sets a precedent for future funding fights where humanity trumps hate.
Renee, many believe that it suited Trump to have a shutdown fight in the fall. However, that ended up going, and many people believe that the Democrats got more out of it than the Republicans at the end of the day. But does it suit Trump to have a shutdown now?
Well, how can I put it lightly? There's no way to put it lightly. It is a situation where Trump is darned if he does and darned if he doesn't, because he made this decision to send in tactical gear squads 5 times the size of the Minneapolis Police Department. But now that a federal judge has just denied the state's bid to halt that move, calling the fallout heartbreaking yet legal, that is the irony here. Protests are exposing how surge operations disrupt lives without delivering results. This is backfiring on the White House greatly. It's mobilizing people who aren't even activists because when agents kill compliant citizens, it's not immigration policy. It's a Second Amendment and civil rights crisis. We need unity here, less division, more dialogue, and that can ensure that enforcement protects everyone, not just egos. And this is very important, Mohammed. Right now, the White House is under siege from all sides. Immigration backlash, a shutdown that they could have avoided, and even international saber rattling like Trump's Iran threats. But here's the under the radar pressure. It's Trump's deal making with Democrats on funding that shows cracks in his tough guy facade. He blinked first on Department of Homeland Security. He endorsed a package that relies on Democrat Senator Chuck Schumer's votes. So the thing here is that sending the border czar, Tom Homan, to Minnesota, which is what Trump did for productive meetings with local enforcement there, that is public relations spin, but it's protests that are forcing a drawdown talk here, and it's ego damage control as public outrage peaks.
All right, Rena Shah, political strategist and a former senior congressional advisor to the Republican Party. Thank you so much for joining us on Al Jazeera. Great to get your perspective.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me here.